much for stopping by the channel. This is my recap and review for Real Housewives of OC. This is season 16, episode 3. And honestly, y'all, it won't that much. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the people who ain't give us much. And that would be Dr. Jen and Emily. Honestly, y'all, I don't know about Miss Jen or Emily. I think Jen and Emily need to step it up. They definitely need to step it up because it's nothing right now. It's nothing. The preview kind of got me seeing Jen might be putting in work now that she gonna have issues with Noella, but all in all, she not giving nothing. She really not. So we see Emily and her kids. They having a cookout, y'all. My bad. They're having a cookout. All I could say during this scene is okay, I don't want to keep having to hear about your child getting baptized. Nothing against her child being baptized. I thought they were Jewish, but I guess they let us know during this episode that the young lady is going to be baptized into the Mormon faith. Okay, I've learned as I've gotten older, people's walk of life with the Lord and with religion and spirituality is their walk. So to me, I have no issues with her. That's all. Your walk is your walk. Just like my walk with God is my walk, But I just feel like it was weird with Emily, to be honest. Emily is she keeps talking about faith and saying that she's not religious, but it seems like she wants to be, but she's not taking active roles into finding her own spirituality and her own walk. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to be a part of the Mormon faith. And to me, like I just said, your walk with the Lord is your walk with the Lord. But maybe she wants to be more spiritual. But it's just I don't know. This just cannot be her storyline. That's all I'm going to say. It just can't be her storyline because, like I just said, the little girl getting baptized, she's saying this is her choice. That is her choice. That's her storyline. Not yours, Emily. You gonna have to give me more. Also, Emily be throwing digs at Shane. Their relationship is weird. As much as we be ragging on Shane, acting like Shane is uninterested in Emily, Emily is very passive aggressive. Her whole thing about him having to throw the party because it took him so long to get it. I'm well, maybe he doesn't want to throw a party. Maybe for him, it's just okay, I made it. Now, I can move on with my life. And it's just, I don't know. They're just boring to me. And I'm kind of over Emily. I wish Emily would have got let go because she brings nothing to the table. And honestly, all I could think about was them little kids playing in the water. And it had my anxiety because I'm y'all are not over there. They just had them little kids throwing up the water. And I'm why is nobody of age? You have your older daughter there. Why isn't she watching them? Why aren't you over there, Emily? Shane, somebody watch the babies. But yeah, that was Emily's whole, she ain't give us nothing. She don't give us nothing, y'all. Nothing. So then we get to Dr. Jen, another lady that don't give us nothing. And I'm just kind of why you here? Why you here, Jen? Why you here? So she is she's talking. I guess it was just her and the oldest twin were together this whole time while Ryan was going on his trip. They said that Cece, the other daughter, she went on a 2-day sleepover. It seems like she slept over the grandma's house. They were bonding. I don't know what the other little, because they have a little kid, but I think maybe I don't know where the other little baby, because they got 3 kids, but I feel like they only mentioned 2. But everybody's coming back home. I was so turned off that they let that little chihuahua walk on them counters. You know what? That's why my mama always said you can't eat at everybody's place. Because, I love animals, but I don't like when people allow their cats on the table. I don't like when they let them in the kitchen on the counters. That is nasty. That is nasty. And she let that dog just walk up on the counters. And then I got worried that the dog was going to fall off the counters because he damn near looked like he high all the time. Them eyes be squinty like he owns something. And I'm you just going to let him walk on the counter? So we're just going to let him walk on the counter. I think the only interesting thing from that conversation that I pulled was that, Unfortunately, her dad passed away the day before she took her test for her exam to be certified as a doctor. And she asked her mom when her mom came to bring back her daughter, like, do you think dad would be proud of me? And her mom was like, no, he was your biggest cheerleader. Like, he was always in her corner. And then we end up finding out that Dr. Jen said that she married her mother, which is Ryan, because she says her mom and Ryan aren't very emotionally, like, they don't show their emotions. So it kind of bothers her. And you can kind of tell that, like, her daughter Cece has such a great relationship with her mom, and her mom is English. And I guess she said due to cultural aspects, like, her mom just didn't give, like, she wasn't as affectionate, but she is with the other, like, with her, like, children. And it always is like that. The grandparents don't want to mess up with the grandkids, so they try their best to give them all the things that they didn't give their children. And, like, they showed her a little handshake, and that was Emily's, Dr. Jen's part. See, I keep wanting to call her Emily. Both of them are boring, y'all. Both of them are so boring to me. Like, they don't give anything. They really don't. Let's talk about Miss Gina. Y'all already know I don't see it for her. I don't. I don't. But she's at, like, you know, her and her boyfriend are at home. They're just talking, having a casual conversation. And basically, she brings up going out with Noella and how she thinks Noella might have a crush on her. Probably. Noella gives me, like, if you let her, she gonna try to jump your bones. And then you have, she talked to her boyfriend about how upset she is with Shannon. When it's like, can you really be upset with Shannon? And then she talks about how she wants to be married to her boyfriend. Like, she doesn't like telling people that she's his girlfriend or introducing him as her boyfriend. She wants to be able to introduce him as her husband. And this is my thing. This is legit my thing. It's kind of like what my granddaddy said. Like, my granddaddy still says, why would a man buy the cow when he getting the milk for free? And to me, Gina has incorporated that man into her life so much so that she has told us that because of him being a part of her relationship, that her and her ex are in a way better place in co-parenting. So I think her boyfriend feels like what we got going on right here is fine. Which to me, if I was him, I would be like, yeah, why we need to get married? Like, we pretty much together, you know? And I feel like Gina kind of jumped the gun with having him being such an integral part into her relationship with her ex-husband and her kids, because in the opening credits is Gina, her 3 kids, and her boyfriend. So it's kind of like he already has that role. Like, he kind of is already that role in your life. Now, I don't think she should settle. Like, if she wants to be married, then yes, by all means, you know, press the issue and see what happens. But I feel as though Gina's not, like, she's not strong enough to press the issue with him because she wants to be with him. And I think he knows that. That's why he was like, we good where we at. And she was like, yeah, we're happy. You know, it's nice to wake up every morning happy. And I was like, but you're not happy. You want to be married. And he like, that's not gonna happen, you know? So Gina's talking about how her and Noella about to link up. So they end up linking up in the episode, and they go to cryotherapy. Noella comes in distraught, and she's basically upset because her and her husband have not spoken. And she keeps saying that it ties back to that home in Puerto Rico, because Noella wants to sell the home. Like, she wants to sell this home in Puerto Rico that is supposed to help her husband with his tax debt. And we're going to get more into that when we talk about Shannon and Noella linking up. So, and her husband don't want to sell the home. So he hasn't been talking to her. And he just like, he was like, I'm dead in the issue with her. So they do cryotherapy. They had a good time. The funniest part about this whole scene was when Noella talked about she slept in the dungeon. And the lady who works the machine was looking at her like, and I was like, Noella, stop mentioning that sex dungeon because it's tacky. It's a tacky sex dungeon. Honestly, y'all, I'm trying to figure out what annoys me about Noella, because I do like Noella. I think what she did for Shannon, where she stood beside her, like, while everybody was coming at her, I think that counts. Like, that shows that, like, she wasn't willing to jump in, because we normally see some housewives, well, like newbies, where when they come in and they see one person getting attacked, they'll attack or they'll associate themselves with said person that like is attacking the other person because they want to like be on other people's good sides, or they just want to be on the most popular team. And I thought it was cool that Noella stood there and was like, I'm not gonna gang up on her, I want to make sure she's okay. So I think that was commendable of her. But her voice annoys me. I can't tell if that's how she normally speaks or talks like in real life, or if she's just talking like this in general. Like, it's very like an airy kind of talking, and I don't know if that's how she really talks, and it kind of bugs me. But she has a good time with Gina at Cryotherapy. So then we have Shannon and Noella, and it seems like Shannon and Noella are really like bonding. And in the beginning of the episode, we see Shannon and Noella go to Shannon's esthetician, and baby, Shannon looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy or the girl off of Willy Wonka when she eats she turns into a blueberry, because her cheeks were so like up here. She looked a mess, and I guess the esthetician is supposed to help with the swelling. And so Shannon and Noella are talking because Noella comes with her, and we end up finding a little bit more about Noella. We find out that her newest child, which is her son, he has autism. She said he's 2 years old. She was like, things were progressing pretty good, and then he started to regress. And that's normally how people find out if their child has autism. But I like the way she spoke about it. I like that she did not have like a woe is me kind of attitude. It was like, okay, I'm happy that my child has autism, in the sense of that when she said he loves his brain and I just need to appreciate it, I was like, okay, I like that about her, because I do, like, one of my best friends' siblings has autism, and her sibling is smart as hell. Like, when I tell you the coolest thing that her sibling has ever done to me is when we were in high school, we had a train go through our area, and her sibling could tell us what type of train it was based off the sound of the horn when the train bonks the horn. I thought that was wild. I was like, you can really tell, and like her sibling could really tell. I remember like her sibling is like into video games, and that person broke down, like her brother broke down everything of how they make video games, and I was like, wow. And that's the thing. I think oftentimes when we hear autism, we freak out, but we don't understand that like many of the people that we think are geniuses, a lot of people during those times would have thought that person had like a defect. And really it's not. It's just their brain sees the world differently, and that's okay. So while Noella's with Shannon, this is when we get into all this tax stuff, y'all. So basically, Sweet James got tax debt. And at first, Noella thought that he only had one tax lien, and it was for $4 million. But come to find out that he has two tax liens, and it's for $6 million. And they have a property in Puerto Rico. It's a nice home, but she wants to sell it. And she was like, if we sell the property, we could pay off his debts, but he doesn't want to sell off the home. And that has me like my spidey senses going. Because to me, I think two things. One, he doesn't have any other money, and the only thing he has is that home in Puerto Rico. Or two, he got a family in that house in Puerto Rico, and that's their house, and he not trying to sell his other wife's home. Because I'm trying to figure out how, like, because Noella and her husband have only been together for a year. So then we see Shannon FaceTime and Noella. Well, no, before that, Noella and Shannon are talking about the whole situation that happened with Heather and Nicole, and Noella was like, I think you and Nicole should have a meeting. So they link up. Nicole and her have a talk. They forgive each other. And that was with Shannon and her talking head. Everybody is like pointing the finger at Shannon, but like the only person who ruined the dinner party was Gina. And then Nicole, why didn't you tell Heather and Terry that you sued him back in the Gap? Like, why didn't you do that? Like, you look sus linking up with Heather knowing that you sued her husband. And then, y'all, I'm going to post this picture that someone posted on Twitter. She doesn't look like she looked like 26, like 16 or 20 years ago. She looks completely different. So I really feel like that's why no one knows what she looks like. Because if this picture is really true, then I understand why everybody is like, she don't look nothing like she said she did back in the day. Because she really don't. The picture that I'm about to post, she does look like Pam Anderson in this picture. So I was like, oh, I get it, Shannon. I get it now. So then we talk about Heather's obnoxious text message. So Heather doing too much. She really is. And I told y'all I goes for Miss Heather, but Heather is doing too much and she's making herself like insufferable. Like she really is, because she doing too much, y'all. She really is doing too much. And I told y'all I don't really like Shannon, but in this situation I'm on Shannon's side because Gina and Emily did the most. If Heather wants to like point blame and be angry, the first person she should be mad at is Nicole. Why did Nicole, excuse me, y'all, why did Nicole become your friend knowing that she sued you and she sued your husband? And even though it was 20 years ago, that's up to her to tell y'all what it is, because clearly you didn't know and clearly Terry didn't know. Then on top of that, the next person you should be mad at is Gina and Emily, because they promised Shannon not to speak about it. And yet they still spoke about the said situation. So at the end of the day, they're the ones I would be angry with, because y'all promised that if it turned out that Nicole was the person that Shannon was talking about, y'all wouldn't talk about it. So Gina and Emily did the most. And they were the ones that caused the scene at your party, because Shannon wasn't saying nothing to nobody. She was chilling. Shannon was talking and mingling with everybody. So this text message. So Shannon basically sends a text message where she's like, she wants to link up with Heather so they can talk everything and hash things out. Heather gonna send some BS, and when I tell you Shannon is better than me, cause I would have cussed Heather out. I would have cussed Heather out and told her, F your friendship, because I really don't need you. Because Heather gonna come back talking about like what Shannon did was indefensible and inexcusable. I don't care about your actions. You tried to twist things around so my husband, like you tried to ruin his career. And at the end of the day, he got sued. That's what it was. He got sued. It's 20 years ago. And you trying to act like you so high and mighty. You need to calm down, Heather. Because the situation wasn't that serious. Yes, was Shannon wrong? Yes. But for you to be that nasty towards Shannon makes you look like a bitch. When the people you should be mad at is Gina and Emily. Because at the end of the day, Gina is a follower. And she's somebody's lapdog. Because the way she dropped Shannon, and then we end up finding out that they were hanging out in New York and their friendship got close. But you were so quick to drop Shannon to get with Heather. Gina is not to be trusted. She definitely isn't. So then we see Nicole, and we see Nicole, Noella, and Shannon go out. Shannon apologized to Nicole, and it is what it is, and they moving on. But I'm with Shannon when she said in her green screen, I'm taking responsibility for what I've done. Why, or has Nicole or Gina did that? No, they haven't. So who can we really be mad at? Them hoes. What? I don't know. So then we see Noella FaceTime Shannon, and this is where it get real. So James done sent Noella divorce papers in Spanish. I said, sir. And Noella had to get somebody to translate the divorce papers. He cut off all her credit cards, and now she's just in a state of confusion. And Shannon was asking well, doesn't he know? Shannon was like, did he take the son with him? Because Shannon's trying to understand, why would you cut off the credit cards when y'all still have the child to take care of? And he was like, is he in did he leave any of his stuff? And Shannon was like, yeah, no. Noella was like, yeah, he left his stuff. So she was like, I don't know what's going on. That man trying to leave the IRS. He owes some people some money. James owes some people some money, and they coming to collect. So then we see Shannon and Gina meet up. And I was over Gina the moment she sat down, because Gina took no accountability. Then she gonna hit us with that sob story about her ex taking her to the mistress's party and barbecue and her being on with. I don't care. None of us care. Okay, it happened, Gina. That's not the same situation that the same situation that Shannon and you were in. The only people that knew about said issue was Nicole, who's the person who sued, who has not said anything to Heather in 6 years. They've been friends. You, Emily, and Shannon. None of the other women at the party knew about what was going on. So you are saying my ex, he did that. And I was happy Shannon was like, I've been cheated on too. So what are you talking about? And I was embarrassed too. And I'm like, thank you, Shannon. Like Gina's whole, like, I wanted to know you wanted to kiss up to Heather, and that's what you did. And now all of a sudden you kissing Heather is behind, because I low-key think Gina is on the chopping block. So she's trying to attach herself to Heather, because the thing about it is, like, Heather came back. They asked Heather to come back, so she came back. So her value is way higher than Shannon's. But ultimately, y'all wouldn't have a show without Shannon. And that's coming from somebody who don't really like Shannon like that. So they somewhat apologize for each other, but I really feel like if I was Shannon, I would not be cool with Gina. Like, we could be cordial, but I wouldn't tell her nothing, because we ended up finding out that they was hanging out in New York for like 4 months ago, and they got really, really close and bonded, and then you gonna do this to her? Oh, you fake, and you're not to be trusted. Because Gina was like, well, you told Emily, no. Gina was like, you told Heather that me and Emily weren't to be trusted. And Shannon was like, y'all aren't, because y'all agreed. And I'm like, yes, y'all aren't trustworthy. That's my thing. Y'all all agreed while y'all was drunk that y'all would not tell if this was the person, because you didn't want it out there. But then you told. Like, that's fake. And then on top of that, y'all didn't even believe the said rumor. That's the part that blows my mind, is that y'all didn't believe the rumor until y'all got confirmation from Nicole. So if it's a rumor that you didn't believe, why did you feel the need to tell Heather? So then they invite, Noella up to, like, their get together, because they both feel sorry for her, because Shannon and Gina been through a divorce. So they're trying to make sure she's okay. She show up, baby. She ain't been able to get in contact with that man. He done cut off all her accounts. And then Noella's gonna fix her mouth. And because I think Noella's like in her 30s, to say she don't have her own bank account. What kind of is that? Y'all? I am nowhere near that lady's age. I am nowhere near Noella's age. But I have had a bank account, my own bank account, since I was in high school. Like, my parents gave me my own savings account once I started to get money for, like, graduation. Then, when I went to college, I got money. Like, I had my own account because I was working. So, like, it does not make any sense that Noella is this at her big age with her own bank account. Like, ma'am, you should always be siphoning money. If you, like, this is my thing. If you want to be a sugar baby, if you're going to be, where you're just a trophy wife and you get an allowance, you always have your own account. Or you take some money out and you hide it in a place where can't nobody touch it. Where just in case this man try to do you dirty, you have it for a rainy day. It is mind-boggling to me that this lady does not have her own bank account. No, Noella. So that's where the episode ends. I'm kind of curious to see where this is going. I don't know if she went all the way through with her divorce. I hope she did, because even if he came back, I wouldn't trust him. I would never feel secure with this man. At the fact that he has all this control and he just gonna cut you off like that, that's wild to me. That is wild to me. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Drop down in the comments below and let me know. Are you on Gina's side? Are you on Shannon's side? Do you think Heather was justified in her raggedy text back to Shannon? Like, what are y'all thinking? Let me know. But again, remember to be bravely authentic, y'all. And I'm out. Deuces.